What does freedom mean to you? Does it mean the freedom to choose? The freedom to have a family and raise your kids according to your own values? What about living a wild, adventurous life, experimenting with music, relationships, or art? What does freedom really mean? What if freedom meant something that only a few Americans still understood? What if it meant that your choices and your values were set by you, rather than by some politician in a far-off capital? Some people think we're only free to choose to live exactly how they live, by their moral code, or their narrow worldviews. But if liberty means anything, it means that you, and you alone, have the power to exercise your rights to which the laws of nature and nature's God granted you. It's time to put these principles back into action. It's time to restore the American dream, activate in our communities, and take our country back. It's time to wake up, America. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com. Glad to have you here. If this is your first time tuning in, or if you're watching us over on Instagram, this is the very first time that we've ever tried to stream over there. There might be a few technical issues here and there on Instagram, meaning that the edges get a little bit cut off because we're streaming not only on Instagram, we're on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, basically every social media site. So if you'd like to watch the full show without the edges being cut off, for example, when I have a guest later on the program, you won't be able to see them because they'll be over there. Then I highly recommend that you join us over at YouTube at youtube.com/AP for Liberty. And if you're already over there on YouTube, good morning to you, like Chris Morrill, Michael Knipp, Mary Kramer, and Adam Armstrong. They also have Rumble as well. We are on Rumble. That's right. Good to see you, Adam. Thanks so much for joining us there for a moment. All right, let's get the show started. At the top today, who and what got canceled in 2022? The list of high-profile names of people that we have struck off our list. They're no longer one of us. We've cast them out, castigated them. They can no longer do business. They can no longer operate with banks. We basically have said goodbye. Well, some of them can still use their banks, but Kanye West, apparently not. Also, we'll talk about what got canceled. You guys remember the Choco Taco? I miss the Choco Taco. The Choco Taco got canceled in 2022. We'll talk about that. We'll have some fun at the top of the show. And at 7:20 this morning, I'm excited to introduce you to this gentleman. If you've never heard of him before, he is a Canadian who did a debate. Douglas Murray is his name, where he did a debate about the Canadian legacy media. See, here in the United States, other than NPR, our mainstream media is not funded by the government. But in Canada, it is. And Douglas Murray participated in a debate about the Canadian legacy media and just absolutely destroyed them. Great stuff. We're going to talk about that at 6:22. Or excuse me, 7:22. You have to forgive me. I got a 99.9 fever today. Had a horrible night. Woke up drenched in sweat. I know you don't want to hear that, but please be patient with me today if I'm a little slow. David Winery joins us today at 7:35. He is an attorney at law from Kansas City. We're going to talk about Kansas cops raiding a terminally ill patient's hospital room over a weed vape and THC paste. Yeah. Giving him the Brittany Griner treatment over there in Kansas. A terminally ill patient got raided. He's in a hospital dying, and he got raided by the cops over a weed vape. We'll talk to attorney at law, David Winery, about that at 7:30 this morning. At 7:51 this morning, the cold reality of the Buffalo Energy Storm's death toll. We'll discuss that. At 8 o'clock this morning, Camelia Petersen is going to join us to talk about Cobra Tate, the man, the myth, the legend, Andrew Tate. We're going to talk about what it means to be an alpha male. I can't wait to make Camelia blush. Won't that be fun? All the squirming will be occurring. You can text the show at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. We'd love to hear from you this morning. The fact that you're still doing this show, says Matt Unruly. Yes, I have responsibilities to our advertisers, as you can see. Probably not the best day to wear a yellow shirt there with Lear Capital. There we go. Now you can actually see it. You just need more cowbell. That's right. I got a fever, and that's the only cure. Let's continue. Okay, so what else have we got? Oh yeah, so after Camellia at 8:30 today, 33 Gen X things that will make you so nostalgic. It's the holidays. I'm not trying to get too deep with our topics. We're just trying to have fun. So let's begin. Things that we're leaving behind in 2022. Canceled celebrities, political figures, Hollywood's elite. Right. What exactly is cancel culture? I think we need to just start there. When did it actually begin? Dr. Jill McCorkle, she's a professor of sociology and criminology at Villanova University, said that cancel culture has always been integrated into our society. It's an extension of, or a contemporary evolution of, a much bolder set of social processes that we can see in the form of banishment. Yes, we know very well banishment. These are designed to reinforce the set of norms. Again, because according to Dr. Jill McCorkle, banishment, yeah, banishment's been around since biblical times. Cancel culture is not new. A lot of people try and pin it on one pivotal event, and they say, "Oh, well, cancel culture is actually a conservative thing," when it started with the Dixie Chicks, because the Dixie Chicks said they didn't like George Bush, and they, did they burn an effigy or something like that, or they just said they did, screw George Bush or something like that. But then, other events people point to and say, oh, this is when cancel culture began. But banishment has been going on for thousands of years. This year in 2022, though, who did we cancel? Adam Levine from Maroon 5. He got publicly shamed after it was alleged that he cheated on his wife. He's 43 years old. He was accused of having an affair this year, as well as sending flirty messages to other models. I gotta say that, there are some people who think that, adultery should be illegal, and I have to say that I don't agree, not just because I think, it's we are so over criminalized in this society anyway, but just because, especially, you can't get away with anything anymore. Think about it. Who was the last per Bill Clinton was the last person who was able to have an affair in the White House, and he didn't even get away with it. Barack Obama wasn't able to get any side piece at all. You can't get away with anything anymore in the White House. Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and since Bill Clinton, you can't get away with anything anymore. You can be a rock star. It used to be when you were a rock star, it was just understood you were going to have affairs. You can't even be a rock star and have affairs anymore. You can't have a side piece, because they will all publicly shame and name you, and it's over. It's like, you can't even, if you're famous, you can't even date someone at all, or try and date someone at all by sending them messages, DMs, because it's almost a guarantee that whoever it is that you're contacting, if you're famous, is gonna publicly share your DMs. And a lot of times they'll try and deceptively share the DM without any context. They'll try and make it appear like it's one thing, or even if it's not. And you can also fake those things nowadays too. So yeah, excuse me, got that 99-degree fever. Anyway, so he apologized. He said he didn't have an affair. He just, sent dirty messages to models, which, again, we're talking about a rock star here. People typically look the other way on things like that, what have you. Shia LaBeouf, running through the forest. Shia LaBeouf, he's another one that was canceled after the Transformers star's ex-girlfriend accused him of abuse, and he was trying to return to stardom. If you remember, Shia LaBeouf was, like, a few years ago, didn't he show up at some award premiere wearing a bag over his head that said, I'm not famous anymore," and then apparently he was trying to return to grace and return to doing Hollywood movies, but then his girlfriend accused him of sexual battery, assault, and the infliction of emotional distress. She said he even threatened to crash their car while they were both in it if she did not profess her love for him. Man, that guy has got some problems. Do you remember the greatest Shia LaBeouf story of all time? The greatest Shia LaBeouf story of all time was the incident where it was capture the flag, the greatest game of capture the flag that ever happened in human history. He put up a flag in an anonymous location with a live stream on it that said, "He will not replace us," or "He will not replace us." No, that was the white supremacists at Charlottesville. Um, "He will not divide us." Shia LaBeouf put on a flag out, and in order to prevent the flag from being stolen, he put it out in the middle of nowhere with a 24/7 live stream, and it started the greatest game of capture the flag ever in history. And Reddit and 4chan and the whole internet was doing everything they could to try and find this flag that Shia LaBeouf had put up so that they could take down the flag. They were playing capture the flag essentially, and Shia LaBeouf didn't want him to find it, so he put him out in the woods in the middle of nowhere to have this live stream of a flag that says "He will not divide us." They actually used at night, they used celestial charts to find that flag. They actually could see where in the stars were, and then I think they finally found it when, because there was audio on the camera, a truck, they directed somebody with a truck to drive around where they thought it might be and to honk the horn of the truck in order to find out where the location of it was so that they could say, "Oh, you're getting warmer, you're getting colder. Oh, the truck's getting closer, it's getting closer," until finally they found the flag. And I think somebody climbed up the flagpole and replaced it either with a pair of dirty underwear, if I'm remembering right, or they replaced it with a Pepe flag. I can't remember. Somebody will have in the chat will have to remind me if we all if they can remember. Send us a text at 573-319-1586 if I'm missing anything. If you're watching us over on Instagram this morning, welcome. The best place to watch the show, because it's cut off in the edges, the best place to watch the show is going to be over on YouTube. So do that. Join us over at youtube.com/AP4Liberty, because it's quite awkward watching a show like this where the person has got all these things cut off on the side, because I'm not going to make this a video stream where it's, set for mobile phones. I'm streaming this on devices like YouTube. Good morning, Alexander Martin. Good morning, Jerry Fetzer, and all of our friends over on Instagram. I would like to recommend that you join us over on YouTube at youtube.com/AP for Liberty. Maybe tomorrow when I stream, I will be able to format it in such a way so that you can actually watch the Instagram live stream without it being all cut off and weird. So anyways, we're talking about things that were canceled in 2022. Let's move on. James Corden. God, I never liked James Corden. He was annoying. The Late Late Show host James Corden made headlines in October after he reportedly screamed at the wait staff at New York's iconic Balthazar restaurant, which apparently earned him a lifelong ban from the eatery. They said James Corden is a hugely gifted comedian, but a tiny cretin of a man. He's not very tiny, really, is he? And the most abusive customer to my Balthazar service since the restaurant opened. They later forgave him, saying, I love that the New York Post writes, McNally later forgave the Cats star. You know that they're not writing that to be nice. Um, the Cat star, saying that he's a firm believer in second chances. Cat star. Remember Ellen DeGeneres, another celebrity who was canceled this year, who is for, toxic work culture? Ezra Miller. And what I find fascinating about the whole Ezra Miller story here is that the New York Post writes about Ezra Miller's antics where he was arrested for battery and disorderly conduct, but they didn't mention anything about him traveling to a foreign country to groom like a 12 or 13-year-old girl and to make them trans, well, which I think is pretty odd. Now, they say Joe Rogan was canceled in 2022, but he's still the biggest podcaster in the world. They say that he was canceled after several clips of him dropping a racial slur emerged online. He called the stunt a political hit job. They're taking all this stuff I've ever said that's wrong and smooshing it all together, Rogan said. The backlash started after he allegedly started, quote, this is according to the New York Post, broadcasting misinformation, particularly regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Rogan later apologized and said he was not trying to spread misinformation. The Wake Up America show is live right now on multiple platforms on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And if you'd like to join the chat, the Cantina crew all hangs out over at YouTube. So if you're looking for people for commenters to join up with, then definitely head over to youtube.com/AP for Liberty. I see we've got 4 people over on Instagram, and in order for them to be able to see me, I have to actually go like this, come over here so that they can see my face. Yeah, it's a little weird to watch the stream over on Instagram today. Just join us over at YouTube, youtube.com/AP4Liberty. We appreciate that. Okay, wait, isn't Ellen dead? No, you're thinking of the lady who got drunk and and did a bunch of cocaine and then crashed her car. That was Anne Hesh. I think you're thinking of somebody. Supreme Court Justice, easily get those two confused. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was canceled this year. In July, Thomas stepped down from teaching fall semester constitutional class at George Washington University. This was following backlash from his Roe v. Wade decision. 2 days after it was released, his detractors launched a petition to remove him as a teacher at the university. Remember this? The petition said that the Supreme Court decision has stripped the right to bodily autonomy of people with wombs. People with wombs. Just say women. And with his explicit intent to further strip the rights of queer people, please, and remove the ability for people to practice safe sex without fear of pregnancy. Well, you can still practice safe sex. It's just, use a condom, for God's sakes, or birth control. It's not that hard. The students were promptly informed of his decision by his co-instructor, who will continue to offer the seminar this fall. The petition also mentioned his wife's involvement in the January 6th protests. She wrote, "I love MAGA people," January 6th Facebook post, something she later edited to note that it was written before violence occurred. So Clarence Thomas canceled in 2022. Bette Midler. Remember Bette Midler? You are the wind beneath my wings. I can fly higher than an eagle. Well, you can hear the virus in my voice, can't you? Bette Midler faced her curtain call in July after tweeting about the trans community and the language used to describe them. Women of the world, we are being stripped of our rights over our bodies, she said, our lives, and even our name. They don't call us women anymore. They call us birthing people or menstruators and even people with vaginas. Don't let them erase you. Every human on earth owes you. Very true. She immediately got slammed, of course, by that, saying that the language used erases members of the trans community. She fired back, saying that her tweet was about women in response to a New York Times article in July, and there was no intention of anything exclusionary or transphobic in what she said. She says, "Women of the world." I gotta say, I actually agree with Bette Midler about that. Normally, she's pretty insane. Ticketmaster got canceled this year. They caused bad blood with Taylor Swift fans after denying them tickets for her highly anticipated tour. Swifties queued up for as long as 8 hours for tickets to either be dropped in the middle of waiting or be told that no more tickets were available. Ticketmaster said more than 3.5 million people pre-registered for the sale, the largest registration in the company's history. Some 1.5 million fans were given a promo code for the verified fan pre-sale, while the other 2 million were placed on a waiting list. Tennessee Attorney General John Skermetti vowed to investigate Ticketmaster after his office was flooded with messages from irate Swifties. Imagine calling the Attorney General of your state because you didn't get Taylor Swift tickets. All right, we'll continue on with who got canceled in 2022 when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it. We've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. If you managed to snag the stream over on Instagram and you're like, why can't I see you? This looks really weird. I have to lean over there so you can see me. Check us out over on YouTube at youtube.com/AP4Liberty. Just type in AP for Liberty over on YouTube and you should be able to find me. They say I am shadow banned over there, but you should be able to type in AP for Liberty and find us over there. Okay, we're talking about who or what got canceled in 2022. We left off with Ticketmaster during the last segment over the Taylor Swift incident. But of course, no list of who got canceled in 2022 would be complete without Kanye West, of course, being named after he basically had a humongous fall from grace. He was banned from both Instagram and Twitter for spewing his anti-Semitic remarks. And he was also dropped by Gap, Balenciaga, and Adidas. Fans attempted to rally behind him to try and get him back to his billionaire status with a GoFundMe, but the site shut the page down after it made only $5. So another group that got canceled, Balenciaga, they suffered a major design flaw in November after they were slammed online for creepy advertisements that featured children alongside bears wearing BDSM-style gear. Online shoppers spotted the ads and were infuriated, calling the images frightening, creepy, and wrong. They apologized, but the fashion brand had the fashion brand initially filed a $25 million lawsuit against one of the producers of the ad, but they withdrew that motion. And Will Smith was canceled in 2022 after the slap heard around the world when he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. One of the defining moments of the year. Chris Rock made a G.I. Jane joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's bald head, asking her if she's going to be in G.I. Jane 2. And we all remember what happened surrounding that. Fresh Prince star Will Smith later apologized to Rock on Instagram, saying he acted emotionally, but it was really weird. Chris Rock was not so quick to forgive. He says, "That mother effer hit me over a BS joke, the nicest joke I ever told," he said. The Academy turned around, the Motion Picture Academy slapped Smith with a 10-year ban that prohibits him from attending the awards ceremony. All right, so what else got canceled in 2022? My delicious Taco Klondike announced in July, what a terrible month to do it too, to discontinue its beloved and iconic Choco Taco after nearly 40 years, according to a company tweet. Unfortunately, the Choco Taco has been discontinued, Klondike wrote in Twitter. Over the past 2 years, we've experienced a spike in demand across our portfolio and have to make tough decisions to ensure availability of our full portfolio nationwide. Of course, many people took to social media to mourn the loss as well as share their outrage over the Choco Taco's discontinuation. It's not all doom and gloom, though. Klondike did say that it would be looking for a way to resurrect the classically crunchy ice cream treat in the future. You know what really ticked me off too about this is that people were trying to say, "Well, just get a what are those ice cream cones that you get? That's like it's the Klondike ice cream. It's a nutty. It's got like the nuts on the top with the little chocolate in the bottom." Oh, excuse me. People were trying to convince me. They were like, "It's the same thing. It's got the waffle cone with the ice cream, the little chocolate and the nuts and stuff. So just get one of those like drumsticks. That's what it is. Drumstick ice cream cones." Somebody's like, "Oh, get a drumstick ice cream cone. It's the same thing as the Choco Taco." It's not the same. There's something, texture and consistency are part of the flavors of something that you enjoy. It's not just about the same ingredients. It's also about the shape. So to me, the Choco Taco is actually, I think, is superior to a drumstick. But the one thing the drumstick does have going for it over the Choco Taco is that little chocolate drop in the very bottom of the cone. Oh, so good. What else got canceled food wise? Honest Tea. Remember Honest Tea? Coca-Cola announced that they would phase out Honest Tea in May, and that its Gold Peak and Peace Teas are going to become the company's anchored tea products. So I never drank Honest Tea because I like tea, but I don't like tea. Well, I don't like drinks where they're trying to tell me it's like healthy drink. Like, shut up! I don't want that. The McRib got canceled. They teased in October their famous McRib sandwich would grace their menus, but only for a limited time. Get one while you can because this is the McRib farewell tour. Enjoy our famous pork sandwich as if it's your last. The McRib, of course, has built up a very loyal following among McDonald's patrons. It's considered an iconic part of the restaurant's history. But unfortunately, it seems that McDonald's says they're not bringing the McRib back anymore. How dare you? How dare you? You can text the show today, 573-319-1586. Ann Henry says, "Vomit on Honest Tea." Yes, I agree with you. Wendy's Vanilla Frosty also temporarily was canceled. All right, let's cancel the Kansas Police Department that raided this terminally ill patient's hospital room for a weed vape. We'll talk to David Winery, attorney at law, about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Austin's wife. I want to thank you all for watching the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen. This show has been a huge venture for our family, so we would love it if you could join us.
I believe in liberty, and I believe in Austin's ability to spread the ideas of liberty. Do you? I want to ask you today to join Petersen's Patriots with a pledge of $17.76 a month. Help us to stay cancel-proof so we can spread the message of limited government across the country. I joined Petersen's Patriots myself, just in a little different way.
Visit wakeupamericashow.com/support and make your pledge today.
Hey, it's Austin. Thanks for watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. 2022 has been an exciting year for the Petersen household. Steffi and I celebrated our first anniversary, and my new radio program, The Austin Petersen Show, was syndicated in St. Louis just over a month ago. There have been some challenging times, but with the help and support of good friends like you, we've been able to come out even stronger at the end of this year than when we started. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the Cantina crew, especially Camelia Petersen, Tolly Owens, Jamie Marie Pope, Chris Morrill, Matt Unruh, Quest Fanning, Elizabeth Fanning Press, Tina Martin Goodrick, John Rail, Jasper Logan, Kathy Jo Loy, Edie Vogel, Grant Sundberg, Anna DePalm, Doug Hill, Andy Opperman, Lyle and Lori Rosberg, John Petersen, John Mashurik, Ava Lavasco, Leslie Scott Russell, Liberty Liss, Pam Ames, Cecilia Harden, Mary Kramer, and dozens more than I could list here. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and may your days be merry and bright with a Happy New Year.
Hello, I'm George. Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great. Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com. Kansas police raided a terminally ill cancer patient's hospital room after receiving word that he had a weed vape, despite him getting a doctor's position to do whatever he wants to ease his excruciating symptoms. Joining me now to discuss is David Winery, attorney at law.
Good morning, Austin.
Thanks for joining us. Your thoughts on this story?
You know, I've looked into this and seen what's going on, and I think the biggest problem with what they're doing to this poor gentleman, besides he's too sick to even go to court, is that there are dozens, hundreds of studies that medical marijuana is very good for terminal cancer patients. And it's really the only thing that works without, just destroying what's left of them by taking all these very potent prescription narcotics. And another thing I see that's really weird, especially in Kansas, I think, what are we, one of 3 states that still don't have any medical marijuana, allowing for any purposes? I think we're lumped in with, what is it, Idaho, Nebraska. When 47 states say it's legal for medical marijuana. And I think another thing that's really odd about this whole situation is that, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, and I will literally have clients who are in trouble for the abuse of prescription narcotics and getting them on the streets again. And some of them, their abuse stems from the DEA telling doctors they're prescribing too many prescription painkillers when they have terminally ill symptoms, that they're probably going to die from, pain eventually, and what this overhanging disease they have. And then they'll run into the criminal justice system. And then the criminal justice system will say, okay, no medical marijuana for you, even though that's working better and you have a much better quality of life. And then I've also had issues where people are addicted to, say, heroin or OxyContin. They may not have chronic pain issues, or really, or at least not chronic pain issues that are terminal, but they will still nonetheless. Like, I have a client who got his foot run over. And, he was in the hospital for several times. I've seen the x-rays. It was just a horrible, horrible injury he had. And he became addicted to OxyContin while he was rehabbing for this, to the point that, he couldn't get any more. And he started, trying to get him off, trying to get street drugs to neutralize it. And then he, fortunately, lives in Missouri, started medical marijuana, and he's great. But the crime is in Kansas. And so the judge, or the prosecutor especially, literally is telling him to go back on the prescription narcotics that he had a horrible addiction with, rather than stay with the medical marijuana that he's not addicted to. It just takes away all the pain. And I just kind of sit there sometimes and just shake my head, because there's this war on prescription opiates and everything, but then you force people back on them if they run into the criminal justice system, even people who have addictions. It just makes no sense.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen, I'm speaking to David Winery. He's a criminal defense attorney, about a raid that police in Kansas conducted against a terminally ill cancer patient who was in a hospital over a vape pen and THC paste that he ate to use to try and treat his pain. The officer said that the vaping device posed a fire hazard, according to the report. The doctor said that he could use whatever he wanted to try and alleviate his pain. So why do the police feel like they need to step in and play doctor here? There must have been a judge behind this as well, right, David?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's charged now. I think it was actually a nurse in the ER who reported him for having this vape pen. And from what I've read and gathered from looking into this story, the gentleman has literally weeks left to live. Maybe not even, he could be dead literally any day now. And the only quality of life he has is a vape pen. And anybody who's seen a vape pen, I don't know what would catch fire. What's going to catch fire with a vape pen? It's a very controlled device with a very small battery that provides a heating mechanism. So I think that's a really weird thing to say. And it's just, I think this is just one of those travesties of justice.
What do you think that the judge or the cops think they're going to get out of this ultimately, other than bad PR?
Yeah, I think that's why everybody has refused to make, because the New York Post said that everybody refused any kind of comments on this at the hospital, at the criminal justice system there in Hays, Kansas. And you just got to sit there and really wonder, especially when so many people are dying now of fentanyl, because they're putting fentanyl in everything as far as street drugs goes. And you have this huge problem of people dying. And let's not forget also what happened in the last year or so when the Sackler family, who invented OxyContin, they had to pay billions of dollars in settlements with the government for so-called making a highly addictive drug for pain. And also major chain drugstores like CVS and Walgreens paying billions of dollars in settlements for supposedly overprescribing these narcotics. And here we have medical marijuana I mean, it's almost impossible, as far as I've seen, to overdose on it. There are very big medical groups that are behind it. And it's just like, you've got these different hands of the criminal justice system that are in direct conflict for doing something like this to this gentleman.
That's why I voted for the legalization of cannabis here in the state of Missouri, even though that bill, the ballot measure was not perfect, and it had a lot of problems in it. Just because things like this, they need to stop occurring, David. I mean, our criminal justice system is so tied up with this kind of nonsense and shenanigans that police officers, I mean, they've got better things to do, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a police officer for 15 years in Long Beach, California. And part of the frustration he had going into the 80s was, the police department telling him he needed to focus on drug interdiction. And my dad became a cop, to go after people who beat up people, stole things, people who are doing, real person crimes where an actual human being is harmed. And he eventually retired and just got off the police department because, as he used to say, he's like, I don't want to have to chase, weirdo degenerate hippies, as he said, that are smoking pot or whatever. I want to go after people who are raping people, robbing people, hurting people. And it just makes, and I think another thing on a historical standpoint, which I've always been intrigued by, when we had prohibition, they had to pass a constitutional amendment to get rid of alcohol. And during prohibition, you could walk into a drugstore and buy cocaine and heroin, but you couldn't get a hold of alcohol. And then mysteriously, when prohibition's overturned, then the cocaine and the heroin and pot and all these other drugs become illegal with no constitutional amendment. And as well as I do, once they formed all these drug task forces, the FBI and everything else, a government program, once it started, it never stops. So it basically just moved focus over to cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and various other drugs without a constitutional amendment, which I think is a very curious point of law. And, I've tried to research that and look into that, and nobody really has a legal answer why that happened, except that a federal bureaucracy, once created, never dies. They needed something for them to do.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen, I'm speaking to David Winery, who's a criminal defense attorney, about a case of a man who was in a hospital with terminally ill from cancer, who was raided by the police because he had a vape pen as well as THC paste. Question for you here. Someone said that Kansas has a Democratic governor, so maybe that might mean that they would step in, or maybe something positive will get done on the case. Do you have any hope that would be the case?
I think that's what everybody was hoping, even conservatives and Republicans, that a Democratic administration would somehow push through legalization of medical marijuana at the very least, because Kansas does not have a petition process for citizens to gather signatures and put things on the ballot like what they did in Missouri. And I mean, when it all started, basically, in California and Colorado, it was citizen petitions that got it on and, got medical marijuana through. And I think we're also up to what is something like 27 states that have, even recreational marijuana. And to go back to my client in Missouri, who now has a legal prescription for marijuana for his pain, why is marijuana the only prescription drug I can think of that is not offered full faith and credit across the state line in Kansas? Kansas will say, well, it's illegal over here. I can understand if it was someone that was living in Kansas and they had just go over the state line and get a thing. Even that, I think, is kind of fuzzy, because people go, especially living in a border state like I do in Kansas City, Kansas, Missouri, right there. I think it's just very weird how there's not a full faith and credit for a prescription. I mean, I have people that are been hooked on meth, on probation for meth, did time for meth, get out, get a prescription for Adderall. which is one molecule away from methamphetamine. It's just called D-amphetamine. And they can do that. And Kansas, since a Kansas doctor put him on Adderall, even though we're on probation for meth, it's all good. And I just think it's just so odd that, here they are. They don't even, and I've tried to make the full faith and credit on argument. And, in Johnson County, especially, there are several judges at the district court level that are, especially with Missouri citizens, allowing people on probation to still use their medical marijuana with a prescription. And there are several judges I know at the municipal court level and elsewhere that they won't even prosecute misdemeanor possession of marijuana anymore, because they just, marijuana at one point was the most charged offense in the entire criminal justice system nationwide. Do you feel any safer? Maybe if you're a bag of Cheetos, you want to have marijuana illegal because they're a threat to you.
I just
But
don't.
as
I,
far as
to me, it's all a revenue generating scam for our, the enforcement of quote unquote justice in this country. David, we're running up against the end of our clock. Is there anything else that you think that our listeners should know before we let you go, sir?
I would say especially the people in Kansas. Maybe write to your legislatures. Maybe go see them in the Capitol. Because we've got to do something about this, because I don't think my clients, when they have a legitimate chronic pain issue, should be forced into making the quote unquote Faustian bargain of, do I want to be in writhing pain, or do I want to go back to the drugs I was addicted to deal with the pain, when we have a natural, basically homeopathic method to deal with it.
I'm with you on that one, David. Hey, thank you very much for your time this morning. We appreciate you very much, sir.
Thank you. Always looking on your show, Austin. Have a good day.
Thanks, David. That's David Winery. He's a criminal defense attorney, a good buddy of mine. Hope you enjoyed him. If you liked him, send us a text, 573-319-1586. We still got Camelia Petersen coming up on the show here in just a few minutes. Camelia is going to talk to us at 8 a.m. about what it means to be an alpha male. Andrew Tate and hashtag, here comes the word, hashtag small dick energy is trending over on Twitter. We're going to talk about that at 8 a.m. Coming up next, though, some things we learned in 2022 on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Are you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
what is fascist? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? You can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas and a liberty New Year. Socialists and commies may try to convince you that the holiday's all about free stuff. But let's be honest, we all know whose wallet Santa's gifts are coming out of. There ain't no such thing as a free stocking. Santa is the only guy with a big white beard promising free stuff that we want anything to do with this holiday. And if you don't believe, you don't receive. It's a capitalist, consumerist holiday, and it's time for a Santa-sized stimulus. Get your free market merch at the AP for Liberty shop today and stuff your socialist sisters' stockings full of capitalist cheer. Ho, 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 ho!
Good morning. No fighting in the comments section over there. I see you guys today. How you doing? Welcome to the Wake Up America show. It's time to rise in freedom. I'm Austin Petersen, and we're glad to have you here. If you're watching us over on Instagram today, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a live stream that Austin does? Yes. Best way to watch it, though, because they crop it, is go to youtube.com/AP4Liberty so that you can watch the show without having to worry about any of that cropping stuff like they're doing over there. You can text the show at 573-319-1586. Camellia Petersen's going to be joining us here very soon to talk about what is an alpha male. Yes, she will tell a man about his masculinity. Here's some things that we learned this year in 2022. Did you know that bees are legally fish in California? That's right. Bees are now legally classified as fish in California. Conservationists appealed for this classification as a creative way to save the Golden State's bees. Basically, the California Endangered Species Act protects endangered or rare birds or amphibians, but not insects. Elsewhere, California law defines fish as wild fish, crustaceans, excuse me, invertebrates or amphibians. Since all insects are invertebrates, it seems that they should be classified as fish in the code too. Now, the logic might not pass scientific muster. An appeals court ruled that insects are indeed fish in the eyes of California law. The decision has paved the way for bees and other at-risk insects to gain access to protections that they wouldn't otherwise qualify for. Something we learned, interestingly enough. Octopi are using Octopuses. I think you could say pusses or pie, right? I have no idea. Anyways, octopi, are using human trash for shelter. They're making the best of a bad situation. A study published this year shows evidence of the cephalopods using cans, bottles, and other undersea litter as makeshift shelters. They've also been observed laying eggs in human-made containers and donning the garbage as armor and shuffling across the sea floor. They may be fine sleeping in trash, but even octopuses have standards. The study found that they prefer intact containers to broken ones. In case it wasn't clear, this is not an endorsement of throwing garbage in the ocean. I'm sure octopuses would agree. Crustaceans may hold the key to a renewable energy battery component. When you think about renewable energy, your mind might go to wind or solar, but maybe it should instead land in a dumpster outside of a Red Lobster. In a 2022 issue in the journal Matter, we learned that a team created a key battery component out of chitosan, which is a derivative of chitin, which can be found in the exoskeletons of crustaceans. The chitosan serves as an electrolyte in the battery, which transports positively charged ions between the anode and the cathode. Other battery electrolytes take far longer to break down than the biodegradable chitosan. Interesting stuff. Let's give you the chat over there so you can see what everybody's saying in the show today. Things that we learned. Dolphins taste pee to identify friends. Isn't that interesting? When greeting friends, humans hug or shake hands, dogs sniff each other's butts, and dolphins sip each other's pee. In May of 2022, researchers at the University of St. Andrews published a study in Science explaining that dolphins use urine to determine if their friends are around. The animals in the study would spend 3 times as long taste testing the pee of their friends as opposed to the urine from stranger dolphins. Stranger, talk about stranger. Isn't that gross? Yeah. An AI-generated image won an art competition. AI isn't just good at science, it's good at art too. Good enough to win an art competition at least. Jason Allen created his digital painting titled Théâtre d'Opéra Spatial using Midjourney, an artificial intelligence program that interprets text as imagery. The piece placed first in the Colorado State Fair's contest for emerging digital artists this year, which stirred up controversy in the art world. As one non-AI enthusiast noted, the artificial intelligence that he used explicitly trained on current working artists, leading some to view it as a form of indirect plagiarism. In response to accusations of cheating, he says, "I'm not going to apologize for it. I won and I didn't break any rules." That's fascinating. Well, there's a lot more that we could learn, but unfortunately, we've got to go to commercial break because we got to hear from Camellia. I got to go get Camellia and bring her back on so she can tell you men about what it means to be an alpha male. Don't you just love being lectured by a woman about what it means to be a man? We'll talk about all that and more when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bush. This is my Dee Dee's website. Now I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bush is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bush is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Dee Dee made Frenchy bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Dee Dee really likes it. Dee Dee said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bush. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bush blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
The real world experience.
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. It's 8:03. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Well, Andrew Tate, kickboxing world champion, went to Twitter last night to take on Greta Thunberg, of all people. Now, hashtag small dick energy is trending on Twitter. And somebody who would know something about that, perhaps, my resident expert on small dick energy, is joining us right now, Camellia Petersen. I know it's the worst intro I've ever done. How you doing, CJ?
I'm doing well. I like, you've done some really creative and great intros, but I'm not sure how to feel about that one.
All right. Well, CJ, we're going to talk about Andrew Tate. Give us a little bit of background here on what's going on between Andrew Tate and Greta Thunberg.
Well, I think that this was a smart marketing ploy on Tate's part.
Yes.
When he tweeted talking about all of his cars and his Bugatti and this and that, and how much carbon they're producing. And anyway, he tagged Greta Thunberg in it, and and she responded by saying that, and I can't remember, did he say, ask her how to get a hold of her or what? Anyway, she was like, you can email me at, smalldickenergy at, what was it? Getalife.com.
Getalife.com. No, not bad. Honestly, for a teenager, I think pretty funny, but I guess he responded, huh?
He did respond. And the thing is like, at this
How
point,
dare you?
Come on. It is so junior high. There's a video.
Go ahead.
Did you see the video? He posts a video and he's in like the red velvet bathrobe and smoking a cigar and everything, and they like deliver pizza in the middle of it, and he's talking and responding to her, and it's just like it's this all the stereotypical, I'm a big badass, boss guy,
Right.
boss man, vibe. But anyway, it just he's very over the top, but that's his style.
Yeah, for sure. If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen, I'm speaking to Camelia Petersen. And this conversation, this is something that we've been having in the last, well, a couple of weeks and really for months, but I don't know that we've ever like addressed it directly on the show. The question, what makes an alpha male? Because I've seen you on Twitter saying to people who say, I'm an alpha male, blah, 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 blah. If you have to say you're an alpha male, then you're probably not an alpha male. Not a rule, not a hard and fast rule, but not a bad rule. So why don't you just tell us, Camelia, what do you think makes an alpha male?
So after we've talked about it, we've actually talked about this probably for a long time, but it's definitely come up more in pop culture lately, and I think this is something that we see a lot. We've talked about it being kind of reactionary to where the feminist movement has gone, and I think what has how alpha male has come to be defined is very convoluted and probably not really what it means. And so typically when people think of alpha male now, they're talking about, you hear toxic masculinity and men who are kind of bullies and braggarts, and they put women down and say that women need to be put in their place and you know know their place, so to speak. And basically it's kind of, we're throwing back to that women are chattel sort of position. But I don't think that that's really what an alpha male is. And we posted this question on Twitter last night, and somebody made a comment that piqued my interest. So I did a little bit of looking into it and talked about how that when the term alpha male really originally kind of got gained popularity and started being used in this context back in the 80s and 90s, that it came sort of from this idea of how the social structure of a wolf pack and what scientists were discovering, researchers were discovering and observing them. And this guy that responded to that tweet made the point that the researcher who originally used that term alpha male in his literature discovered, after that had been published and had kind of caught popularity, that his original observations were really not correct. The alpha male wasn't the one who was like dominant and challenging his rivals and fighting his way to the top. In a wolf pack, that's really not how the alpha male works. And but he has never been able to kind of undo that perception of it, even though he's published things since then that talk about really and really this is true for people too. The alpha male in a wolf pack is just the wolf who mates, who has children, and who creates his own pack, and that is how he creates leadership. And so and fights for dominance, those kind of things are incredibly rare if they occur at all.
Well, that's interesting. But I mean, these dynamics that exist, I mean, humans are animals. We may not be like wolves, but we have hierarchies that we create,
Sure.
and people, some people are more dominant than others, and some people are more submissive than others. So whether or not that researcher, says that his, takes his research back or not, I think probably doesn't bear out the fact that whether or not the wolf pack analogy is relevant to human behavior. Humans have something very similar to that. It might not be exactly like wolves, but we certainly do try and dominate one another, and men try and dominate as many women as they can. They try and have as many partners as they can, and women are more choosy. But in regards to like what in human behavior we might consider to be alpha, I think it's pretty clear that what Andrew Tate's behavior displays, and his, it could be performative, right? A lot of it probably is performative,
Right.
but you don't get to you don't become a kickboxing world champion and a multimillionaire and an influencer without some alpha qualities.
For sure. I don't disagree with that at all. And I think that there are, I mean, the qualities that we think of when we talk about alpha males are not bad qualities. They're like anything else. They can be taken to extremes, to negative extremes. And I think that is the public perception of that we have in, popular culture right now, is that's because those people tend to be the loudest. And we've seen, when you look through Andrew Tate's Twitter feed, he says a lot of really good stuff, a lot of really true things about, how men are perceived in our culture right now and the challenges they face and the things that they need to do to make themselves more valuable and better, and not just more valuable to other people. That's kind of one of the problems I have with the common perception of this right now, is that we're calling men's value, it's kind of based on how much money they make. Yes, I understand that that's a factor, but there's a lot more to a man's value than how many cars he owns, or how much money he makes, or how much of a swagger he is. So I think that is kind of the downside to some of the things that Tate does. I'll be honest with you, when I look at Tate and I see him talk, it is just annoying as
But there's a reason why he has 3 million followers there on
Sure.
Twitter. But you can't take yourself for the average woman, Camellia, because I know, roll your eyes all you like, but the fact is that most chicks really dig that kind of stuff. They dig that kind of behavior from men, and they like the money, they like the cars, they like the clothes. They're not like you, Camellia. You're very weird, and you like men who are literate, and
Right.
who like sit around and read books and talk about vocabulary words and things. Be careful about sort of ascribing to, your own thoughts and beliefs and perceptions on the average woman.
Yes. Yeah, no, and I agree. And I would say that there is, and it's not that I am not attracted to any of those qualities, for sure. I mean, there is something that is very attractive about a man who knows himself, who is self-confident. He doesn't have to be loud about it, but that is really, those qualities are what make a man an alpha male. Is if you know yourself, you are confident in your skills and your abilities. And the thing is that alpha males are not just, loud and proud and leaders, but they also are, they're kind. They take care of their pack. They take care of the people around them. Those are also qualities in an alpha male. And if they make a well-rounded person. And I would say the women who are attracted to maybe some of the more unhealthy attributes of alpha males probably also have issues that they themselves need to work on.
And Henry over on the chat says that, have you guys heard Tate speak? He's very literate. I wasn't saying that he wasn't literate, but sitting around and discussing War and Peace and Tolstoy and is not going to be something that Tate's probably going to do on a regular basis. Another friend over on Twitch this morning is saying that, let me see. They're saying, my guy really just went, "You're different from the other girls." Well, it's true. If you know anything about Camellia, she is different from the other girls. You can text the show today at 573-319-1586. You can also send us a super chat over at YouTube at youtube.com/AP for Liberty. Now, Andrew Tate, did you find out about him first, or didn't one of your daughters bring him up to you and ask about some of the things he was saying? Because wasn't she really offended by some of the things Andrew Tate was saying?
Well, basically, what she told me was that in some of her online circles, it's probably mostly on, TikTok stuff, but she was saying that Andrew Tate had kind of become the litmus test for what you thought about people, because people who are Andrew Tate fans are like, okay. So anyway, so I was like, what are you talking about? And so that's when I very first started to look into him. My first impression was, oh, good God. But the more I've looked at things, it's not, that's not impressive to me, but it is impressive that he's come as far as he can. But this is also his brand. There's a ton of this that he's doing that is marketing. And so that's, he has to keep doing that in order to keep up his image. That's kind of the problem when you start doing that, is you have to maintain it. But I do think that we have this part of this alpha male thing, and part of this whole cultural thing that we've got going on with masculinity and femininity, is that with the rise of feminism, we have gotten this mindset that everybody needs to be equal. you are enough, you are good enough, nobody else is better than you in any way. And I think that is unfortunate, because the reality is that we are not all equal. We all have different abilities, and you know what, there's a whole lot of women that are way more attractive and way smarter than me, and that's okay. I am who I am, and you are who you are, and I think if we're all striving to better ourselves and on a daily basis, that's really all that we need to do. But women have come to view men as like, are they in touch with their feelings? And so we kind of ascribe all of these labels to people and put them in boxes. And we've talked about this before, but people have always had this image of men as being the masculine providers and, no weakness, show strength. And all of those are good things. But again, we tend to take things to extremes. And when you introduced me to H.L. Mencken years ago, and I read In Defense of Women, he talks about some of these things, but he also talks about how men are actually the more sentimental, emotional sex. And the more I read about that,
calculated, rational creatures,
right?
Just trying to get themselves a man in the most calculated, cold way possible.
So the more I read that, the more I was like, I could see this, in the men in my life and the men around me. And I was like, and that I had never really seen that, because that's not the culture I grew up in.
If you're just
So,
tuning in,
yes.
if you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen, I'm speaking to Camellia Petersen. We're talking about what it means to be an alpha male. I guess from the way that you sort of speak so dismissively about Andrew Tate, that he's not your type, Camellia.
Definitely not my type.
So then what kind of men are you into then, Camellia? I think
Oh my
inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I seriously doubt that, but okay. No, I am interested in people who have a desire to grow and to be better than they were yesterday. And obviously there are other things that, appeal to my taste. That's a little more complicated than I want to get into right now. But imagine that, when we are raised, depending on, how we're raised, I honestly, I was thinking about this last night, and I think that culturally, because we are so Christianity is so dominant in our culture, and I think that when you are raised in a Christian home, the assumption is that's enough, that you are going to be an emotionally, mentally healthy person because you have been raised in the faith. And that is far from true. And I think it's been detrimental. I think that there are, a lot of other things that need to take place. And our parents do the best that they can with us, with, how they were raised and what they know. But the upside to having so much available to us on the internet now is that we get to benefit from some of the greatest minds in our culture, and we get to grow both mentally and emotionally, in our maturation as a species. And I think that is such a great thing, because if I can learn how to deal better with the people around me, and how to, manage my own expectations and my own emotions and feelings, and become a better person in that way, and both men and women can do that and turn around and teach that to their children, imagine where we could be as a culture and as a species eventually. Because the downside is that the internet also means that we've got all the negative stuff going on too. But
over in the live stream, our friend Manners says that he's 6'6". I know a thing or two about being an alpha male. It always makes me laugh when there is a problem and everyone turns to me and asks for the answer. Ha ha. A.N. Henry, she says, I don't think height makes you an alpha, Manners. I think it's probably the way you carry yourself.
Okay, so she is so right, though. The thing is like, that's the question. There is the physical component to what is an alpha male, but she is very correct in that it is so much the idea that a person doesn't have to tell you what they are, is that a person can walk into a room and they just exude those qualities without having to say a word, in how they carry themselves, in their posture, how they speak to you. There are lots of those, nonverbal communication, and it's the same with a woman.
Stephanie, my wife, says, I like a man who is stable, driven, emotionally intelligent, and who can protect me. Well, I guess I'm in trouble then. You're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Petersen. I'm speaking to Camelia Petersen. We're talking about what it means to be an alpha male. Our friend Quizqueno over on Twitch says that he doesn't believe there's such a thing as an alpha male. And someone else says that they're an alpha male because they're 6'6" tall. So everybody looks to them for answers. Camelia, you're laughing. You still haven't described to us your ideal man.
Okay, so I mean, you're right. There is definitely the intellectual component, but I will tell you that along with somebody who is working on themselves and working to be better, in every way, it also depends on the sense of humor. I think that
Oh,
that
yes.
cannot. I know, right? Okay, but
How
it's not
tall do
just
they
a
have to
sense of
be?
humor.
Do they have to be
No,
taller than you?
actually, no, height isn't relevant to
Lies.
me.
Oh my
No,
God, you're
shut
so
up.
full of it. Oh my
I'm not.
God, hilarious. You're
Height
telling
is
me.
not an issue.
Okay, so if he's a little person,
I don't know. Probably
oh, you
not. That
don't
might
know.
create some
God, you're
challenges.
so full of it.
I did not say there are no physical components. Come on. But I mean,
Dark hair, light hair. There's a lot of guys in this live stream watching right now who are like primping themselves up, hoping that there's going to be a chance.
yeah, no, I doubt that.
They don't need to make a certain amount of money. So you would date a guy if he made $28,000 a year.
It depends on all of the other qualities, but yeah, when I get to know somebody, I'm not asking, what they do for a job. That's not my first or
So
even my 10th
so they could
concern.
be, they could work, they could be a table busser or a dishwasher or whatever. And as long as they're working on themselves.
It's possible. You never
don't-
know.
I don't believe you.
But
Squirmapalooza, says Chris
well,
Morrill.
okay, it's like we both know that I'm pretty selective, so and I'll probably, die alone, an old maid.
Oh my God, this is the funniest segment I think we've ever done.
Gosh, I swear if you clip this.
At least we're definitely going to clip this. At least Elizabeth Fanning Press is being honest over the live stream. She says, must be taller than me. Yes, must be taller. Sorry. I think that that's probably for most women. They want the guy to be taller. There's probably biological, inherency to that. So,
Sure.
being short for a guy is a death sentence. It's almost as bad as being bald. But better, like Andrew Tate's bald, so you can get away with it as long as you're strong and rich. But if you're short, women would rather date a criminal than a short man.
Andrew Tate, by the way, has a really annoying voice, and I think that that's part of the reason why I have a hard time listening to him, because it's
Oh,
like he just
dang.
grates. Sorry, I'm being petty
Claws
now.
out. Claws out. Boy, being very petty. Jesus. All
So,
right. So,
okay, for just a second, I want to go back to what the one guy said is he didn't think that there were alpha males. And I think that that's a mistake to say that there's no such thing as an alpha male. I also think that it's a mistake for men to assume that, alpha males are the epitome of manhood and that beta male cucks is somehow a bad thing. Yes, I said that word.
well, it is a bad thing to be cuckolded, but yeah, go on.
Yes. Okay. So, but beta male does not, that's not a bad thing. There's a hierarchy, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter because people are different. People have different strengths. Alpha males tend to be leaders. Not everybody in this world can be a leader. It would be terrible if they were all, people who, were good for those kind of positions. You also need beta males who are in those support roles. That doesn't make them less of a man, but it's a different role in our society and culture.
That's very fascinating. Camelia, is there anything else that you think our listeners should know before we let you go?
Oh, I want to put a little plug in here because there's so much out there that is probably unhealthy or goes overboard in the whole conversation about what is an alpha male, what is healthy masculinity. So I knew about this years ago and had forgotten, but the art of masculinity.com is a great resource for all kinds of things related to this. I actually read and listen to it quite a bit as a woman because the content is really great. And I wish there were something out there, the equivalent of that for women. But I think it gives a very balanced, very healthy perspective. It's a great resource for men.
Good stuff. Camelia Petersen, thank you very much for your time today. And now you're going to get a lot of creepy DMs, I'm sure.
Doubt it. Have a good Thursday.
All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Camellia. Take care. All right. Did you like Camellia Petersen there? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. Boy, that was good stuff. We had a lot of people watching that too, so it's nice to have Camellia there with us. All right. I remember when I ran for president, somebody said that the only reason Austin is doing this is so he can show what an alpha he is, and so that he can attract himself, so that he can attract women. And then I, ran for Senate, and I attracted my wife. So I got to say, if you want to meet the woman of your dreams, gentlemen, be an alpha. Run for president of the United States. You too can find yourself a Steffi Weffy. But you can't have mine. She's behind. Go get your own Steffi. All right, we'll be back with more things that Gen X can be nostalgic about on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Austin's wife. I want to thank you all for watching the Wake Up America Show with Austin Petersen. This show has been a huge venture for our family, so we would love it if you could join us.
I believe in liberty, and I believe in Austin's ability to spread the ideas of liberty. Do you?
I want to ask you today to join Petersen's Patriots with a pledge of $17.76 a month. Help us to stay cancel-proof so we can spread the message of limited government across the country. I joined Petersen's Patriots myself, just in a little different way. Visit wakeupamericashow.com/support and make your pledge today.
Hey, it's Austin. Thanks for watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show. 2022 has been an exciting year for the Petersen household. Steffi and I celebrated our first anniversary, and my new radio program, The Austin Petersen Show, was syndicated in St. Louis just over a month ago. There have been some challenging times, but with the help and support of good friends like you, we've been able to come out even stronger at the end of this year than when we started. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the Cantina crew, especially Camellia Petersen, Tolly Owens, Jamie Marie Pope, Chris Morrill, Matt Unruh, Quest Fanning, Elizabeth Fanning Press, Tina Martin Goodrick, John Rail, Jasper Logan, Kathy Jo Loy, Edie Vogel, Grant Sundberg, Anna DePalm, Doug Hill, Andy Opperman, Lyle and Lori Rosberg, John Petersen, John Mashurik, Ava Lavasco, Leslie Scott Russell, Liberty Liss, Pam Ames, Cecilia Harden, Mary Kramer, and dozens more than I could list here. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and may your days be merry and bright with a Happy New Year.
Hello, I'm George. Thank you for watching the Wake Up America Show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mom, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great. Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. line. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3. You're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell! This commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning. It's 8:30. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We've had a great show so far. We've still got a little bit more to go, 30 more minutes. And then I can take a little break because I got a fever. And the only cure is rest. So I'm going to try and get some today. But I still have another show to produce for the afternoon, don't I? Ugh, maybe if I had been exercising more, I wouldn't have caught whatever I got. Because I got probably the China flu. China. All right. If I had been exercising more, though, would that have made me fatphobic? Take a listen.
What makes somebody fatphobic at the gym? Let's talk about it. Are you going to the gym so you can get a flat stomach? Or are you going to the gym so you can build a stable core and have better posture? Are you motivated to go to the gym so that you can lose weight? Or are you focused on increasing muscle and bone density? Do you only consider a workout good when you feel sore or tired the next day? Or do you look to feel energized and awake after working out? Are you prioritizing leg day because you want your butt to look super delicious? Or is it because you know strong glutes help protect your knees and your back? Wanting to work out does not make anyone fatphobic, but the motivations why you might go to the gym do.
Okay, God, now I feel like I don't like burritos anymore. That was pretty disgusting. Like, why do you got to do something like that? Need a burrito camera. Who likes to watch other people eat? I don't. Ann Henry says, I'm fatphobic. You know what? I am too. Shouldn't we all be more fatphobic? Rare Camellia over in the live stream says, my ex-husband totally didn't get my sense of humor and vice versa. He also won me over through persistence combined with my own insecurities. It was not a good combo. Yikes. Fatphobic. She's beta male phobic now. All righty, moving on. So I was gonna go into this, but I didn't. You know what? I don't want to talk about this. The white supremacist origins of exercise and 6 other surprising facts about the history of U.S. physical fitness. So Time Magazine published this article, and I was going to segue from that video into how women were in the early 1900s, like the push to take women from having to wear corsets into just getting more exercise was so that they would be healthy, so that they would have more white babies, because Time Magazine is racist and having white babies is an act of violence, I guess, in modern times. But you know what? Screw it. Let's move on to something else. I had this other story that I didn't get to share with you yesterday from BuzzFeed, of all places. I don't often pull my stories from BuzzFeed about Gen X. Everybody forgets about Gen X, but today we're going to spend a little time with them. Things that will make Gen Xers so nostalgic, they'll almost stop being sarcastic for a minute. Some things that define Gen X. Cheap concert tickets. This Gen Xer said they were born in 1972. By the mid 80s, my friends and I were going to see concerts all the time, usually 10 to 20 bucks a ticket. Great seats too. My first concert was AC/DC in 1984. I saw Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Poison, Cinderella, Guns N' Roses, Tesla, Aerosmith, Metallica, and many of these multiple times. They say, I hate the fiasco that is going to a concert has become now, and I think it's so sad many people can't afford to go see their favorite band or singer because of outrageous ticket prices, if you can even get one, and crappy seats unless you fork out tons of extra money. Great memories from all those concerts. Yeah, I remember when concert tickets used to be affordable. I think when I was in high school, I saw Metallica. It was called Sandstone Amphitheater back in the day. I don't know. They keep changing it, so I don't know what it's called anymore. Out in Kansas. And I'm pretty sure I paid like 25 or 30 bucks for that ticket to go see Metallica. Another thing that would make Gen Xers nostalgic, and I used to do this too. I'm a geriatric millennial, so Calling time and temperature to check the time and the outside temperature. Do you remember this? People used to actually do this. They would call the time and temperature, find out, oh, what time is it? I don't know. Let's call time and temperature. But now, of course, we all have instant access to this information. Sometimes you call several times in the day, right? I don't know why. Is there even a time and temperature number anymore? I have no idea. Things that will make Gen Xers nostalgic. Anybody else remember being required to carry a dictionary and a thesaurus in your backpack in college? Everybody crying about cell phones, right? You don't have to carry a dictionary or a thesaurus with you everywhere anymore, but Gen Xers had to. I'm a millennial. I didn't have to carry one of those in my. I wouldn't have done that anyway, because whatever. The year 1999, sometime in December, was the first time in my life. This is a Gen Xer saying that I patted my handbag to discover a cell phone was not there. It took all of 2 seconds to remember it was plugged in at home, but 23 years later, I can still feel that plunge in my stomach. That was a new sensation. Yeah, there was a time when before we had cell phones, you would not have that fear that you forgot something like that. I mean, I feel that sometimes when I'm at the airport, I'll always just kind of like have those random bouts of like, I forgot something, even if I didn't forget something. But there's nothing worse than the fear of where is my cell phone? If you've ever lost your cell phone, you know that that gut plunging feel the first time that you had that happen. I don't remember, but I know what it's like now. Let's see. Things that make Gen Xers nostalgic. I remember the day my college got the internet. We all swarmed the computer lab to see what it was all about. For me, it was what was exciting about the internet when I was in college was that we had like the first time you had broadband and you had in your dorm rooms, you had like a plug in the wall that you could connect your computer to and you would get fast download speeds. We went from dial up that would take literally, it would take like 28 hours to download a song on dial up. But then when you went to like Napster and you had what were they, T1 lines back in the day? Back I was in college 99 from 99 to 2003, I think. Um the the whole like being able to download a song, it was like what was it, like an hour or something like that? It took like 30 minutes to an hour or something to download a song, and that was such a big deal because it didn't take you an entire day to download a song. Things that you do the cell phone Macarena to check your pockets, says Jacob Champion. Yes, that's a good one. I remember going to dollar movies with a huge purse full of wine coolers. Yes. Truman Corners in Kansas City in Independence. When I was a kid, I remember going to see Back to the Future, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, um, seeing Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade when I was a kid for $1, a buck. Those were the days. Another things that would make Gen Xers nostalgic, staying home from school sick, watching the Monkees. Yes, here we come, walking down the street, get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. I Dream of Jeannie, which was a great show. Gilligan's Island. And then, there was a point when Price is Right was over. You remember when you were sick and then you'd watch Price is Right? And I would watch Price is Right and I would drink Sprite, eat crackers with chicken noodle soup whenever I was sick. I'm surprised Austin hasn't been singing Peggy Lee yet. Who's Peggy Lee? I don't know what Peggy Lee is. Carmelina Brockman says going to clubs in New Jersey and NYC, 18 to party, 21 to drink, and ladies' nights when ladies got in free. Oh, yes. Chris Morrill says, I'm so old, I used to cruise news groups for nudie pics. Remember though, it would when you would get on dial-up and you would try and download a pic of like a bikini pic of Cindy Crawford. I remember trying to download one, and it would be like 15 minutes to download one GIF photo. And that was back in the day when they still called them GIFs. I still think that the whole GIF thing, why people started calling them GIFs, is because like like people who are younger than millennials, Zoomers, and people like that, like call them GIFs or call them GIFs because and people who were not computer people back in the early days of the internet, suddenly got on the internet. All these people got on the internet and they saw a GIF and they were like, "Oh, it's GIF," and so they started mispronouncing it because they didn't know how it was actually pronounced by people who were on the internet in the early days when we would download GIFs for 15, at 15 minutes per GIF. Yeah, bikini pic. Let's go with that. It would take you like 15 minutes to download one bikini pic. Oh, Fever. Fever. Oh, that song. Yes. No, I have not started singing that yet. But no, it was always GIF. And when you were on the internet in the early days, you would see choosy, how do we pronounce this? Choosy programmers choose GIF. And we always knew that it was the cretins that called it GIF because the creator of the GIF specifically stated that this is what it is. This is a GIF, graphics internet interaction, graphics interchange format or something like that. And people who are like, well, you don't pronounce that GIF. Well, okay, how do you pronounce giraffe? Okay, is that spelled with a J? No, it's not. It's GIF. Choosy programmers choose GIF. Brian grew up in the 1970s and went to all sorts of concerts because they were so affordable. Big stars, says Tolly Owens. Yes, Saturday morning cartoons, another thing that Gen Xers remember. The internet was great before every moron with a phone was on it. That's true, Manners. Yes. In many ways, the internet was better when you actually had to have a brain to get on the internet. God, actually, now that I think about it, it was better when it required a little bit of skill to be able to get on there and a little bit of technical know-how. Now any idiot can be on there, and look how it's just degraded in so many ways. Things that make Gen Xers nostalgic. I was born in 1975, says one Gen Xer, and I remember a lot of things about my childhood. Riding in the backs of pickup trucks. So yeah, with and without camper shells, no bike helmets, playing on playground equipment set in concrete, stranger danger, and McGruff the crime dog, but no thoughts of anybody walking into a building and spraying bullets everywhere. Yeah, that's sad. When McDonald's was cool and had awesome outdoor playgrounds. Remember that? We used to go to McDonald's and play on the playgrounds outside. One of my favorite things to play in was the Hamburglar, and you would go in the bottom of the Hamburglar, and then you would climb up the little stairs inside, and then there were bars, metal bars all the way around the outside, so it looked like you were in jail inside the Hamburglar's mouth. That was my favorite thing to play in at the McDonald's playground. Being scared of getting nuked by Soviet Russia. Well, I'm glad we don't have to worry about that anymore, or do we? Listening to music on record albums to cassette tapes to CDs and then MP3 players. Yes, I think that's actually, yeah, I went through all those myself. Every car in my family had crank windows until I was 22 in 1989. Yes, remember rolling this. There was something more, I don't know, powerful, a gesture about actually hand cranking your car's window as a way to be like, to express your frustration or your annoyance. It's like when you would pull up to the drive-through, if they were particularly annoying or something like that, you could roll it down and be like, "Rah," and you're like just very aggressively rolling it down, or very aggressively rolling your window up. That you could actually make a statement by how you rolled up rolled down your window. They remember buying their first CD player in 1990 because it was too hard to find records that they wanted. MTV started up with hardly anyone making videos, so they had to play some oddball stuff just to fill the schedule, and that started moving me off top 40 and eventually into punk and college radio. Almost everything on SST records was a must-buy. Guys ran in tiny shorts. Nobody I knew got driven to school by their parents unless they overslept or had a doctor's or dentist appointment. Teenagers somehow had no problem getting multiple kegs for the weekend. Yeah, that was a good old days. In 8th grade, you weren't cool if you didn't have Banaka on you. Yes. Things that make Gen X nostalgic, we're talking about right now. Hair metal, not grunge. We shared grunge with millennials. Hair metal, that was exclusively ours. Okay. Other things that make Gen X nostalgic: Zima, neon clothes, jelly bracelets, stir-up leggings, payphones, United Colors of Benetton, Sassy Magazine, Big Hair, Manic Panic, Friday Night Videos, Strawberry Shortcake, Smurfs, Sam Goody, and so many more. Remember the countdown to saying goodbye to Joe Camel and the Marlboro Man? I do not. I'm a millennial. Music, the second British invasion, Duran Duran, Culture Club, Wham, Spandau Ballet, Depeche Mode, along with non-British bands like U2, Men at Work, INXS, and the Beastie Boys. Oh God, we all loved the Beastie Boys. Drakkar Noir, yes, Chris Morrill. Asking the Blockbuster guy what was good. Yes, just Gen X things. And of course, millennials got in on that Blockbuster craze when we were kids. On phone, being a kid and remembering the switch from dial phones to push button and the first models not having the hashtag or asterisk buttons. We didn't call the symbol a hashtag. We called it pound. Remember hit pound? We call the asterisk the star button. For years, those two buttons did nothing except give you a busy signal if you pushed them. Remember those? As an old Gen X punk, you know what I love? Young punks, black leather, studs, chains, Liberty spikes, safety pins, Doc Martens. My son rolls his eyes when he's out with me because he has to hear me say how I just want to pinch their cheeks and tell them they're precious. We knew that Mikey likes it and that Zach was the Lego maniac. The 80s was the most amazing decade of all time, and I will die on that hill. I was born in 1970, so the 80s were my preteen and teenage years. No way someone born in 1984 could have truly experienced the 80s. Shut up. I was born in 1981, and I truly experienced the 80s. I loved growing up. I loved being a kid in the 1980s. It was awesome. There was Trapper Keepers. There was everything was neon. Remember when you used to have the lasers? You'd go to get your picture taken at school, and they had the laser background in the background. That was the cool one. You could choose whether the regular background or the laser background. And of course, you chose the laser background because it was way cooler. But yeah, the 1980s were an amazing decade. And, I guess other than like being gay and having AIDS in the 80s, that would probably be the bad thing about the 1980s. All right, I've got to let you go. I've got to go a little bit early today because I've got a fever and I'm starting to go downhill. I still got another show to produce today, so I hope you will forgive me. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We appreciate you very much. Elizabeth Press, Carmelina Brockman, Rare Camellia, Chris Morrill, A.N. Henry, and Matt Unruh. Appreciate all of our friends coming in. Nice, Austin. 81 here too. Oh yeah, 81 babies. Doug H. Glad to see you all here today. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. I will be doing a show tomorrow unless my fever gets worse, in which case I might have to beg off because I'm sick, very sick. If you want to help support the show, you can do so for free by getting a free gold packet, information about gold and silver from my friends at learaustin.com. That's LEARAUSTIN.com. Help support the show and get more info about securing your financial future with gold and silver at Lear Capital. By checking out that website, go to learaustin.com. Sign up for a free information packet. They'll send you all the info you need to know. We'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it, we've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I